Word Kids, it's Miss Anna and
Mr. Ellie.
And we are so glad to be back for another week of Living Word Kids
Online. What's up?
It's so good to be in your homes this month. Can you believe it's October?
I cannot believe it's October.
Insane.
You know what I can't wait for? Is November.
Why?
Because November 1st, all the candy goes on sale.
Oh my God. Guys, we have had so much fun coming into your homes every month. And we're going to continue to pop in and make more videos for you guys. But this week we have a really cool story.
What's the story?
It's about Samuel.
I love Samuel.
Samuel is an awesome man of God.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? Let's start all the way back at the beginning. Samuel's mom was named Hannah. And she would go to the tabernacle and she would pray to God. And you know what? She had always wanted a son. But she could never have a son, and so she'd gone to the tabernacle and was praying, and there was this man at the tabernacle named Eli. Not Ellie, Eli. She talked, Eli saw that she was praying to God, and she was just pouring out her heart that she just wanted a son. And so Eli told her to go and, be at peace, and she would receive that son. And so she conceived Samuel.
What?
That's
awesome.
Once he was old enough, he actually ended up going to live at the tabernacle with Eli.
Ooh.
And so his mom took him and he stayed there, and every year she would bring him a new robe and, go and see her son.
And she only got to see him once a year.
Exactly.
That'd be crazy. That's like if we decided to just live at the church.
Exactly.
I mean, I feel like I live at the church all the time anyway, but this guy
Right.
legit lived at the church. I only got to see his mom once a year.
I know.
That's just crazy.
And she had prayed for him for so long, and then, he went to live at the tabernacle. I mean, could you imagine? But God was so gracious enough, she actually ended up having more kids. And
That's
so
awesome.
Samuel was with Eli, and basically Eli was training Samuel. And then something happened weird one night. So
This is my favorite part.
Right?
This is so good.
So we're going to hop into 1 Samuel chapter 3. And in the message, this is a really cool title. It says, "Speak, God, I'm ready to listen."
Are you ready to listen?
Are you? All right, so it says, "The boy Samuel was serving God under Eli's direction. This was at a time when the revelation of God was rarely heard or seen." It just means that not everybody heard or saw from God. One night, Eli was sound asleep and his eyesight was very bad and he could hardly see. It was well before dawn, the sanctuary lamp was still burning, and Samuel was still in bed in the temple of God where the chest of God rested, or the
like the ark.
The Ark of the Covenant, yes. And so then God called out, "Samuel! Samuel!"
No, I don't think that's what it sounded like. I think it was more like, Samuel! Samuel!
Probably. And so Samuel answered, "Yes, I am here." And so he ran straight to Eli. And he says, "I heard you calling. Here am I." And Eli said, "What? I didn't call you.
Get back to bed.
Go back to bed."
Be honest, every single one of you out there know what that's like when your parents tell you go back to bed.
Go back. And then God calls again.
Samuel!
Samuel! And so Samuel got up and he went back to Eli and he said, "I heard you call. Here am I." Could you imagine? I mean, Eli's just trying to sleep, right?
Oh,
this
yeah.
man of God is just trying to sleep and he keeps getting interrupted. I mean, this is the second time. He's probably
my dad would have spanked me.
"Get out of here!"
My dad would have spanked me by now.
Right? Like, get back in bed. All right. And Eli said again, "Son, I didn't call you. Go back to bed." How sweet was he? Right? And this all happened before Samuel knew God for himself. And so Samuel was still learning some things. And it was before the revelation of God had been given to him personally. So then God called again.
Samuel!
3 times, right? And so then again, Samuel got up and he went back to Eli.
I can just imagine what he was probably like. At this point, he's like, "Man,
What?
Eli's gonna hang me.
Right?
Like, I'm gonna get whooped. They're gonna
I
hold back the
know.
bread for me at dinner."
Right, something, yeah. So he was just like, so Samuel waltzes in Eli's room again and he's like, "I heard you calling. What do you need?" And then it dawned on Eli that God was calling the boy. So Eli directed Samuel, "Go back and lie down. If the voice calls again, say, 'Speak, God, I am your servant, ready to listen.'" Samuel returned to his bed. Then God came again and stood before him exactly as before, calling out,
Samuel!
Samuel! And Samuel answered, "Speak, I am your servant, ready to listen." And God said to Samuel, "Listen carefully. I'm getting ready to do something in Israel that is going to shake everyone up and get their attention. The time has come for me to bring down on Eli's family everything I warned of them. Every last word of it. I'm letting him know that the time is up. I'm bringing judgment on his family for good." And he knew what was going on, that his sons had been desecrating God's name and God's place, and he did nothing to stop them. And so this is my sentence on the family of Eli. The evil of Eli's family can never be wiped out by a sacrifice or an offering of some sort of animal. His sons had done too many things against God. And Samuel stayed in bed until the morning, and then he rose up and he went about his duties, and he opened the sanctuary doors, and he was really dreading having to tell Eli what God had spoke to him. But Eli summoned Samuel and said, "Samuel, my son." And Samuel came running. "What did he say? Tell me." So Eli's just wanting to know what God had said. What did he say? Tell it to me, all of it. Don't suppress or soften one word. As God is your judge, I want to hear it all, word for word, as he said it to you. So Samuel told him word for word, and he held back nothing. And Eli said, "He is God. Let him do whatever he thinks is best." Samuel grew up, and God was with him, and Samuel's prophetic record was flawless. Everyone in Israel, from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, recognized that God was the real thing, a true prophet of God. And God continued to show up at Shiloh, revealed through his word to Samuel at Shiloh.
That's crazy.
Samuel was this awesome man of God.
Yeah.
And so, I think the cool thing about this story is that, Samuel, he learned in this story how to hear from God. And you know what? If Eli wouldn't have caught on, he wouldn't have realized it was God, and Samuel would have never learned how to hear from God. And because Samuel learned one time how to hear from God, then from then on, it was so easy to hear from God, and he was able to be a prophet of God. So he was able to help and lead and guide other people. But had he never taken the first step to say, "Lord, speak, here am I,"
we wouldn't have David.
Exactly. Everybody
had to do their part.
Everybody
had to listen.
And so, guys, I want you to know today that it is as easy as it was for Samuel to get quiet, stay in his bed, and hear from God. It's the same thing for you guys. God loves you guys no matter how old you are. Samuel wasn't that old when he began to live at the tabernacle. And during this time, he was young. And so God can speak to anybody, no matter how old or how young. And so, my prayer for you is maybe at night when you are in bed, just be praying and be worshiping God and just be ready to hear his voice.
Yeah.
And
he can speak to you in a lot of different ways. Your mom and dad is one way.
Yep.
Reading the word is another.
Exactly.
Or something like Samuel, where you could just be praying one day and just God starts talking to you.
Yeah. You know what? It's so easy. And just like we were saying in this story, God was just like, "Samuel, Samuel." Yeah. He just wants to talk to you. And he was able to tell Samuel everything he needed to tell him. And it was so easy.
It was
super easy. So my challenge maybe this month, October, is to just get quiet enough so that you can hear God for yourself. And you, like Mr. Ellie said, you can hear that through the word. You can hear that through going to church. You can hear that through your parents. And you can even hear God's voice for yourself.
Yeah.
Guys, it was so fun learning about the story of Samuel. There's so much information I feel like we gave. I feel like I talked and talked. But it was amazing to be back with you guys. And we cannot wait for next month. You guys have an awesome October, and we'll see ya in November.
Bye, guys.
Bye.